Seeing the terrifying smile on my father's face, my heart seemed to sink. Fresh, 3 eyeballs were placed in a bowl. The eyes seemed to want to tell me something. With a trembling voice, I asked, "Dad, what is this?" Dad replied, "Your mom said you can't sleep at night, so she sent these for you. If you eat this, you'll be able to sleep very well. Come on, eat it, dear." Saying this, he pushed the bowl towards me. I couldn't hold it together anymore. Everything inside me wanted to come out. Clasping my mouth, I ran to the washroom. As soon as I got there, I threw up violently. After vomiting, I started crying. What is happening? Why is Dad acting like this? After a while, I freshened up and cautiously came out of the washroom. I saw Dad wasn't there anymore, and the bowl was also gone. Quickly, I closed the main door and headed towards Dad's room. I called out Dad several times, but there was no response from inside. So, I lightly pushed the door to peek inside to see if Dad was there. I couldn't see him anywhere. Where did he go? I thought I would enter his room today to find out why he doesn't let anyone in and what secrets he's hiding. Why is he acting so strangely? Just as I was about to enter Dad's room, there was a knock on the main door. I was startled. With a thumping heart, I slowly went to open the door. Who could it be at this hour? Opening the door, I saw Dad standing there. His hands and feet had injury marks, and blood was oozing out. Shocked, I asked, "Dad, when did you go outside, and what are these injuries? What happened to you?" Dad, in a slightly angry tone, said, "I went to visit your mother's grave." "When did you get back from the madrasa?" I felt like I was falling from the sky. If Dad was outside, then who did I see earlier telling me to eat those eyes? Seeing me standing like that, Dad bypassed me without saying anything and went to his room, closing the door behind him. What is Dad trying to do? He is definitely hiding something from everyone. This wasn't a dream. Then who was it in Dad's guise? And did I really see him having an accident in front of the madrasa? If so, why didn't anyone else notice the accident? I couldn't think straight. Everything was turning upside down for me. I quickly went to my room and called my brother to inform him about everything happening at home. But he didn't pick up the phone. I tried several times. Somehow, without realizing it, I lay down on the bed and fell asleep. I suddenly woke up from a terrifying dream, startled by some noise. I realized I was drenched in sweat. I tried to recall the dream. 4 men in black suits and ties were standing in front of our door. They all wore black hats. Their faces were indistinct and blurry. They were holding a coffin. All 4 spoke in unison, "We've come to take you. Lie down in the coffin." Saying this, they placed the coffin down and removed the lid. My father's lifeless body lay there with his eyes open. Everything seemed to be happening right in front of me. To my astonishment, another eye had grown on my father's forehead. What did this third eye mean? Just as I was about to touch the third eye, a noise woke me up. What kind of dream was that? I looked at the clock and saw it was 12:05 a.m. That meant I had slept since the afternoon. It was now midnight. I felt a gnawing hunger in my stomach, but there was also a strange fear in my mind. Though it was just a dream, what was the significance of the third eye on my father's forehead? There were also 3 eyes in that bowl. Suddenly, I heard the sound of a stone hitting the window. Someone was throwing stones at the window from outside. I got up and tried to look through the slightly open window. I saw a lot of flickering lights outside. Curious, I fully opened the window and looked out, and I was astonished. I saw a large heart shape made of candles on the road. Inside the heart, it was written with flowers, "Happy birthday, Afreen." This must be the work of crazy Galabia. I had forgotten it was my birthday today. But he remembered. Though I felt very happy inside, I couldn't show it to him. Otherwise, he'd think I was smitten. But where's Galabia? I didn't see him around. Slowly, I stepped out of my room. Just looking at Dad's closed room gave me chills. Very quietly, I opened the main door and went out to the street. Galabia must be somewhere nearby. He would come out as soon as he saw me. I went and stood inside the heart shape made of candles. I looked around, searching for Galabia. Suddenly, I saw a folded paper placed on top of the flowers that spelled out my name. I picked up the paper and unfolded it to find some writing on it. I began to read, "Dear, do you know what would have happened if you had been born a couple of 100 years ago? Scientist Isaac Newton might not have sat under the apple tree but under the coconut tree behind your house just to catch a glimpse of you. Charles Babbage might have invented a device not for computers but for capturing your beauty. Leonardo da Vinci would have devoted himself to uncovering the mystery of your beauty instead of wasting time on his world-famous painting, the Mona Lisa. Rabindranath Tagore would have renamed his collection of poems, Gitanjali, to Afingali in celebration of your birth. Qazi Nazrul Islam might have abandoned his rebellious poetry to write romantic poems about his love for you. But look at your unfortunate fate. Instead of being born in the time of these great personalities, you were born in the era of a luckless, unsuccessful lover like me. So, all you got was a simple happy birthday and many happy returns of the day." After reading the whole thing, I couldn't decide whether to laugh or cry. I folded the paper again, looked up, and saw Galabia standing a little distance away with his hands behind his back. With a slightly angry posture, hands on my hips, I said, "What's all this, Galabia? This morning, you didn't even have rickshaw fare. So where did you get the money for all this?" Galabia grinned and said, "I stole Akbar Chacha's wife's chickens. Sold them to arrange all this." I couldn't hold back my laughter anymore. Laughing, I went up to Galabia and said, "You are truly crazy. Not just crazy, you are the leader of the crazies." Galabia, a bit surprised, asked, "Why does your face look so pale? Did something happen? You look very tired." With everything happening at home, I was indeed very tired. But not wanting to let Galabia understand, I said, "It's nothing much, Bia. Just a bit of pressure from studies." Galabia came closer, looked at me carefully, and said, "I don't think so. Something must be wrong. Since you won't tell me, I'll find out myself. Remember, I am always sticking to you like jackfruit gum." I changed the subject and said, "Forget all this. Now tell me, why did you leave so suddenly this morning? No matter how much I scolded you before, you never left without walking me home." Galabia surprised me by saying, "While I was walking with you this morning, I saw your father standing a little way off, glaring angrily at me. Seeing that, I left. I don't fancy getting beaten up by my future father-in-law. Didn't you see your father standing there?" I couldn't think of what to say. So, I wasn't the only one who saw Dad. And the accident wasn't just my imagination either. Was Dad following me for some reason? Seeing me not respond, Galabia said, "Afreen, are you okay?" Flustered, I said, "Yes, Bia, everything's fine. I'll go now. And thank you so much for this surprise. It was the best wish of my life." Galabia handed me a small gift box from behind and said, "This is for you." Smiling, I took the gift box and went back home. Amidst all the fear, Galabia was like a source of courage for me. I wanted to tell him I was in great trouble and that nothing good was happening to me. But I couldn't bear the thought of something happening to him because of me. Back home, I placed the gift box on the table and went to the kitchen to make tea. My head was spinning. Maybe tea would help. I put some water to boil on the stove and stood there. Suddenly, I heard a strange noise from my father's room, like someone was hammering the wall. What was Dad doing in his room so late at night? I slowly approached the room. I saw white smoke coming out from under the door. Where did the smoke come from? I quickly knocked on Dad's door several times. "Dad, what's going on? Why is there smoke in the room? Open the door. What are you doing?" Suddenly, I heard the sound of dishes falling from the kitchen. It was as if someone was throwing everything around. I ran back to the kitchen and saw everything was fine, except the pot of boiling water was on the floor and the stove was off. I started reciting Ayatul Kursi. I realized that what was happening wasn't normal. Dad must be doing something out of everyone's sight. Reciting Ayatul Kursi, I went back to my father's room and called out, "Dad, open the door. What are you trying to do? Today, you have to answer me." Suddenly, with a thud, Dad's room door swung open. The entire room was filled with smoke. I couldn't see anything. I called out softly, "Dad, where are you?" Hearing no response, I cautiously entered the room. Amidst the smoke, I heard the sound of hammering nails into the wall. I could vaguely see Dad sitting in one corner of the bed, hammering nails into the wall. Since he was turned away, I couldn't see his face. I called out, "Dad, what are you doing?" Without answering, he continued hammering the nails. As I slowly moved towards him, I tripped over something and fell forward. I felt around with my hands, trying to understand what I had tripped over. What was this? It felt like a human body. Who was lying here? Suddenly, the hammering stopped. I looked up and saw no one there. Dad had just been sitting there, hammering nails. Where did he go? And whose body was lying on the floor? Slowly, the smoke began to clear. As the room became clear, I was left speechless by what I saw. I stumbled and fell over my own body, lying there unconscious. Who was the person hammering the nails, then? My astonishment reached its peak when I saw the gift box from Galabia lying next to my father's head. I quickly grabbed the box. How did it get here? I started shaking my father. Dad, what's wrong with you? Get up. Why are you lying here? Dad. Suddenly, I noticed blood on my hands, and it was coming from the gift box. What was happening? I slowly opened the box to see what was inside. What I saw left me speechless. Inside the box were the same 3 fresh eyes, and they were bleeding. I immediately threw it away and screamed. Looking at my father, I saw him staring at me with wide eyes. Fearfully, I stepped back and said, "Dad." At that moment, an eye appeared on my father's forehead, just like the one I saw in my dream inside the coffin. All 3 eyes were staring at me.